All right, I hit the button. We're doing the thing. We're all psyched up. We're pumped up. We're ready to go back to the past.
We're all in this together.
Gee. Those are the words, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie in like 15 years, so probably.
Hello and welcome everybody to Double Dip Draft, Week 2 of the Teal Division. I'm your host, Cabral, coach of the Hatch-slinging Aegis Slashers. Joining me today...
Perennial loser in the Scarlet Division.
No, you can't say that!
I'm gonna make you sit down and listen to my 0-4 opinions.
You can't say... Wait, you're spoiling the future, no!
Oh, whoops, pretend I didn't say that.
That's
I'm
okay.
gonna sit down and make you listen to my 0-2 opinion.
That's also spoilers. We're in week 2. Oh well.
I'm gonna make you sit down and listen to my 0-1 opinion.
That's better. Yes, welcome. We have some fun matches to cover in week 2 of the Teal Division. With that being said, week 1 was certainly weak. Do I remember week 1? Probably not.
You do, because it was a slaughter. It was 3 6-0s.
Oh my gosh.
That was week 1.
You're right. And I think the craziest thing about that is it really sets the pace of, I think, kind of how this division evolves and changes. But on top of that, we talked about this before, it leaves room for the top half to kind of mix around a little bit, but the bottom half, the floor is set at that -6 for 3 people, and they can only go up or down further from here. So
that's true. They're all pretty much on par. All that we have is whoever fought not Pimp, I think it was ASCII.
Yeah.
He is like pulling ahead of the 0-1 curve. Everyone else is, not like thrilled to be at 0-1 -6. But again, misery loves company, right?
Absolutely.
It's really not that bad if everyone gets 6-0'd, as long as you're able to make that up somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. And with that being said, we do have our first match, I was going to say a rematch of sorts, but not really. But you know what? We do have Firebolt of the Northern Ninetales versus Scoots of Dumblespoods Army. And I believe Firebolt in the past had gotten an upset on Scoots beforehand.
That's absolutely right. He made top 4 in season... God, I want to say... not 5. It would have been 4, maybe.
Oh.
He did make it into top 4 of a season over Scoots in round 1 of playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he reverse swept him with something. It's hard for me to even remember. Maybe that was... No. That was season 3. It was season 3. Because there were Gigantamaxes in the mix.
Oh.
Yeah, but he has beaten Scoots before. But this is, it's a storied matchup when you have 2 players that have been playing since, at the early, or the latest that either of these players joined was season 2. So they've been around the block a few times. It's kind of hard not to fight somebody when you're both playing for that long.
Yeah.
And, Firebolt and Scoots, kind of a storied matchup. It is definitely doable for Firebolt. It is very heavily stacked in Scoots' favor. Let's have a look at the team preview, though. It's a new season. Anything can happen.
I see a Sand Abuser with a Hail Setter and a Fire Pokemon and a Sun Abuser. No, wait, Serena's get Sun stuff. Or does he?
No, it's just... I don't think so.
No, I don't think.
I think if anything, it gets just like a crappy, it doesn't get Chlorophyll for sure.
No, like Leaf Guard or something, probably. But that's so interesting. The Hail is an interesting bring, but I do know Firebolt does love the mascot of the Northern Ninetales. It sets up screens, does really great with that. It gets Fairy attacks who hit what I see is a Ting Lu over there.
That is a Ting Lu, and Ting Lu is pretty strong. I don't really see anything off the top of my head that can hit it particularly hard. Even Ninetales struggles to hit it with its ability in play.
It's base 155 HP, isn't it?
Yeah, and obviously it has Vessel of Ruin, which reduces the special damage it takes.
That's so crazy.
So, very difficult Pokemon to break in the best case scenario, and when really your only super effective hit on it is going to be off Ninetales, which again is doing maybe 30 to 40 max. Gonna be tough!
Yeah, for sure. I do see Skarmory as well, probably setting up rocks or whirlwinding or something. Espeon's here. Fantastic Pokemon. Love Espeon. It does really good. It's like it's almost a discount Jolteon in some aspects, I feel like.
Wait, what is a discount Jolteon?
Espeon.
Espeon. No, I mean, they fill different roles, right? Jolteon is like very strong speed control. Like we're talking fast, volt switching, pivoting electric type.
Yeah.
Espeon is fast, but it doesn't pivot. It's more of a utility. Having access to Magic Bounce as an ability.
Oh, that's true.
Fantastic ability, makes it really good for, preventing status and keeping entry hazards off and stuff like that. You can't taunt it, so it can set up Calm Minds and stuff like that. And especially with the ability to Terra, I mean, obviously Jolteon loves terraing as well, but Espeon too loves to set up and to be fast and hit really hard and also have a beneficial type matchup when and as it needs it.
Yeah, that's true. Weezingale also here for levitating, for just being a solid fairy poison type in general, I feel like, actually.
There's lots of good stuff, yeah.
And Dustor's down there. An interesting bring. It does hit Espeon. Probably hits Tinglu somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. So, Firebolt's got a team, he's got some strong spinners,
yep.
So he's, trying to play against, potential toxic spikes or spike stacking from, Skarmory, or, rocks are very likely to get up in this game. I think Firebolt understands innately that it's going to be hard to play around Magic Bounce, so he's only got, one potential rock setter, maybe two I think Jirachi can do it.
Yep.
And Jirachi doesn't generally want to be, the stealth rock guy, so...
No.
Firebolt's not really playing the hazard game here so much as he's just trying to get chip and then maybe set up for a late game like Delphox or Excadrill.
Yeah.
Jirachi can also do stuff once Tinglu is dead, and ideally Skarmory as well.
Yeah.
But it's a tough matchup. I mean, looking at the spread, even Combuskin looks like it kind of goes crazy. A potential Swords Dance speed booster. It can deal pretty handily with Excadrill, Ninetales, Serena, Jirachi.
Yeah. That's
one of the
That's one of the few speed boosters we actually allow currently, isn't it?
That's right. That and Yanmega, and I think there's probably one more.
Ninjask.
Yeah. No, Ninjask is in this game.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. I was still thinking of last season.
I feel good that there's another speed booster. I just don't remember who it is.
Yeah. Either way, though, again, you just click Protect Turn 1, you get one speed boost. That's fantastic. That's so good.
Yeah, and I mean, you can do this in front of, you're only taking neutral, worst case scenario, from a Moonblast off of Ninetales, for example. Mm-hmm. After one speed boost, you might end up being faster, depending on spread. You could get away with doing Protect, Swords Dance, Protect, or Swords Dance into Protect without having to do the first.
Yeah. For sure. But with that being said, I think the only thing we can do besides speculate is actually just see how the match plays out.
Yeah, let's have a look.
Click. I have supply all the sound effects now. I'm going to do all the Pokemon sounds too.
All right, let's hear it. Yeah, that's this is about the expected. That was good. That was pretty nice.
Thank you. I'm done. That's it. We see classic Stealth Rock Whirlwind setup. I do see Aurora Veil, which is nice and solid. Firebolt's just taking time to use Jirachi's setup, but it kind of just takes hits from this thing.
Flies in the face of what I said earlier. He does actually use a defensive Stealth Rock utility set, and Scoots notices that it's leftovers and therefore not weakness policy, and therefore he doesn't need to, whirlwind out a cosmic power or feel shy about clicking Earthquake.
Firebolt is taking so much damage, yeah.
Yeah, the Veil has done very little to help him so far, unfortunately.
It really has. And the chip damage, we're down to half health. Some of these Pokemon are near half health already, 2 or 3 of them with one gone.
Yeah, hasn't done much. And finally, Serena comes in. Scoots, again, with the awareness, Weezing is not going to take damage from this thing no matter what it clicks, so you might as well bring it in, preserve your game pieces.
Yep. Will-O-Wisp, unfortunately
miss. That's a very tragic miss. Yeah, it's super unfortunate.
Yeah.
Firebolt wisely is like, I am not risking that. See ya.
Skarmory comes in on this, because Dusknoir doesn't really hit Skarmory, if I remember correctly. Super hard, at least. It does Will-O-Wisp, though.
Yeah. It's an option.
Yeah. I like Hungry Bird.
Poltergeist, yeah, it's quite hard. And I mean, this bird, it's an NFE. As strong as it might be offensively, it's not going to be particularly defensive unless it's Eviolite, and I really don't think this is.
Yeah. Switches out. I don't think Scoots had a move to really hit this thing super hard. If that was the case, must have done some.
Well, it was just going to die to Shadow Sneak.
Oh,
So
that's true. Yeah, yeah.
might as well, you know. Again, especially if you're playing in a division where the differential is so messed up, even if you're just trying to play to win, like in that scenario, you're like, okay, I could lose my Combusken, or I could do a relatively safe switch into this thing, and then even though my Combusken's out of commission for the rest of the game, maybe I win with something else and I don't have an extra, ding on my differential.
HBN comes in, Terra Ghost. We get another Terra Ghost. We get a Shadow Sneak, and it's gone. I love that. That's so sick, actually.
Very, very cool.
Please clap.
Yep, Thunderclap is a ridiculously strong move, and Firebolt does not want to mess with that. I think maybe he was banking a little too hard on Thunderclap happening because he just goes right for the Protosynthesis Thunderbolt and smokes that thing in one shot, which is unfortunate because I really think that Firebolt could have used that if he brought it in safely, picked a different sack.
Yep, there's Thunderclap right there. Ironhead coming in, not doing a ton to this thing. I'm surprised Extra Drill didn't come out earlier, actually.
Yeah, me too. Although at this point, Firebolt pretty much loses to Skarmory, like you can't break it.
Yeah. Doubles into Dusknoir, trying to bait out a Dragon Pulse, I guess, or...
I'm not really sure why he did that. I think maybe he was doubling into Dusknoir to try and catch a Skarmory switch in, because Scoot's been playing pretty conservatively this whole game, so... Firebolt trying to make a really aggressive double to try and get into a better position, but it just didn't really,
Is this
really
go?
No, it's leftovers. It's shown leftovers.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
What he should have done was try to Ironhead flinch this to death. I mean, he still, again, loses to Skarmory, but you could have maybe, if Scoots was playing super passively, gotten Ting Lu. I don't know. Like, at that point, you really got to start picking up your diff where you can find it. And as a recipient of a week 160, Firebolt definitely is looking for every kill he can get.
Yeah, and we're in that division where we do need to, every little bit of diff counts, because when you're at net -6, 3 of you, and 3 of them are also at +6, diff is going to really start mattering as we go into the further weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, Scoots does snag the victory out of 3-0, and Ting Lu just showing how dumb it kind of is.
And it kind of is dumb, isn't it? It's very, very hard to break. And
really
Firebolt,
is.
Learning it the hard way. But, Firebolt had some tough matches off rip. Chemith into Scoots is a pretty brutal first 2 weeks. So, when you look at, the strength of his schedule, those are losses that are pretty acceptable, I think, in the grand scheme of things. Especially if you can not get back-to-back 6-0. That's nice.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But hey, you know what? Speaking of Chemith the 6-0er, he is running it back. I say running it back. He is moving into his week 2, sitting strong at his 1-0 +6. It is Chemith of the washed up Wishiwashis versus ASCII of the Philadelphia
Phantumps. You got it. Yeah.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah. I do see a Sun team over on ASCII's side. We do have Scizor, who doesn't like taking fire hits, but that might be okay because ASCII has all the fire types.
That's right. Yeah, Chemith, so Typhlosion is definitely potentially problematic. A Scarf Eruption is going to do a ton of damage, even to things like Ogerpon, which isn't weak to it, but if Sun is up and that thing comes in and it's just pop, pop, pop fast. Yeah. The nice thing about Hearthflame, one of its kind of limiting factors in this rule set, beyond that it just can't Terra, is also that it's always holding the Hearthflame mask. So this thing is always going to be, no faster than its max speed. It's never going to hit you harder than the calc says it should, right? Mm-hmm. There's no trickery that it can do. It doesn't have an item to lean on.
Yeah.
So, a Scarf Typhlosion is always going to outrun it. It's not going to randomly be faster than you, unless it, Trailblazers or whatever. So, yeah, I think Scarf Typhlosion is very strong. That being said, Scarf Typhlosion very susceptible to Stealth Rocks, which obviously Torkoal can have, and with the amount of pivoting that Kilowattrel and Scizor can do, and even Galarian Articuno can pivot. So,
yeah, it's
tough. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I do see Vesindipity, which is actually a pretty solid typing. Psychic. Poison Fairy always feels like such a good typing to me. I don't know why. I just think it kind of hits hard, and it's got some really fun stuff. And Toxic Chain, I think, is its ability, right?
That's right.
Is fantastic. Basically, if you do a chain of moves, you have a chance of poisoning every time you hit
It's a 30% chance, I believe, every time you do a contact move that you will badly poison your opponent.
Yeah.
And, Pheasantipity can do stuff like that. It gets beat up, which Cameron used last week. To not very great effect. I mean, he got very unlucky with his beat ups.
Yeah.
With all 6 of your Pokemon alive, that's 6 contact hits at 30% a hit. It's incredibly, overwhelmingly likely you will at least once proc the Toxic Chain. And he really wasn't doing it. So, you might just end up going for, the real move Toxic instead.
For sure. And I do see over there, we actually have a Murkrow with Prankster, I imagine. I don't know why you'd run it, not Prankster. And that does a lot of fun little things. Sets up its own weather, just in case Torkoal goes away. It might have Sunny Day, because you can get that up before your opponent hits you.
Yeah. And, I mean, Kemeth has a Chlorophyll abuser, right, in Bellossom.
Yeah. Bellossom's got, fine stats. Chlorophyll's really nice. It's, what is it? I mean, it's 90 special attack, 100 special defense.
It's fine. I mean,
it's fine.
Given that it can Terra and it can Quiver Dance, that means you really can't overlook it as an option.
True.
Terrapagos, again, still kind of an enigma. Nobody's really quite used to what this thing does in this rule set. It's kind of different than its, standard play rule set where it's banned to Ubers because Terrastalizing just makes it a ridiculously overpowered Pokemon, but now in an environment where it can't Terra, you're kind of just leaning on Terrapagos' own merits as its own Pokemon, and it's kind of hard to figure out what those are without just playing.
Yeah, and speaking of playing, we should probably just jump right into it and just see kind of how it plays out for these two.
Well, let's do it.
Starting off with Murkrow. Hey, look, it's Murkrow. Hey, look, it's Pheasant.
Murkrow! Yeah!
Tailwind! Beat up.
Yeah, as discussed in the pregame show, we got 3 beat-ups, 4 beat-ups, 5 beat-ups, 6 beat-ups before he gets the Toxic Chain.
Yeah.
30% chance, 6 times in a row.
That's crazy. That's almost as similar as getting frozen for 10 turns statistically, just saying.
Yep. This Tailwind not really panning out the way Askey wants because he's just spent almost every turn, actually literally every turn, just pivoting around.
Yeah.
So, that's fine. Didn't get a lot of positioning. But all Askey really needs to do is position this Ogerpon. As long as the, if you get your rocks up and then get your Ogerpon out, Kemeth is just going to struggle, because his only real answer to Ogerpon is Typhlosion, and if the rocks are up, even that is not going to be a great answer.
Yeah, Volt Switch and get out of here because Ogerpon hits really hard. Nice little crit on there to do some extra chip.
Yep. Askey well aware that thing, can't really stop him. Maybe he could Thunder Wave, I don't know.
Yamcha got Yamcha.
Yamcha got Yamcha, yeah. Heavy duty boots, not Scarf, and therefore not outspeeding it and not doing damage to it. This thing Quiver Dances, but it's still not fast enough because it's not under Sun anymore.
Yep. Because
the Torkoal was not a Heat Rock.
Yeah.
And now Kemeth is, we'll say politely, on the back foot. He needs to essentially wrest control back from this Ogerpon. His only real win con remaining at this point is Terrapagos.
Yeah.
And he's got to kind of hope that, he can get that thing in. Yeah, now he sacks Magnezone to get it in, but,
Yeah.
It's a lot of pieces to lose just to get your one guy in. And unfortunately for him, this knockoff removes his Power Herb, where the strat was to Rock Polish and then Meteor Herb. Power... or no, what is it? Hold on.
Not me.
Meteor Beam.
Meteor Beam. I want to say Meteor Mash.
Okay, there we go. So Power Herb Meteor Beam would have given it +1 special attack and killed the Ogerpon and potentially set up for just a solo sweep. But as it stands, did not go that way.
Yeah, getting a 5-0, getting back down to a 1 in differential for Kemeth. But we'll get to the diffs when we get there this week.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Cam. Pretty much immediately undoing the progress of that game 1 6-0, leaving him at a 1-1-1.
That's so good. I love the 1-1-1. Yeah, I mean, just overall, it was... I think there was a lot already in Askey's favor with just team building in general. I think Ogerpon does so good just kind of glancing over this team and just hitting it really hard.
What is really interesting, I think, about the interaction between Ogerpon and Terrapagos is Ogerpon has Mold Breaker when it's Hearth Flame, which means it ignores enemy abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And Terrapagos has an ability that's very similar to Multiscale. It's called Terra Shell, and it means that the first move that makes contact with you when you are at full HP is reinterpreted as not very effective. So that would potentially give you an out into something like a really powerful Ivy Cudgel, excuse me. But if you Ivy Cudgel into it and you're Mold Breaker, then it doesn't really care about Terra Shell, does it? So
yeah.
Ogerpon was just very uniquely, I mean, it was the right speed tier, had the right ability, had the right type matchup.
Yep.
He had too many other things that bullied Typhlosion into being Boots, and then Boots ended up being the wrong call.
Yeah. And I think as we go on with the rest of the season and the rest of the divisions in general, I think we're going to see a pattern of a few specific Pokemon really standing out in the teams. And I think we've talked about this before. A lot of it is just because of the nature of this draft season, with a lot of the Pokemon, how they kind of are in the power creep that came on with the new add-ons to Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Wild West out there. There's a lot of new stuff, and a lot of it is pretty extreme.
Yeah, for sure. But not as extreme as our next fight with Nihilus of the Dallas Duckletts and Skittles the butt of the Crystal Cresselias. I don't think Skittles needs more of an introduction than has already been introduced in the analysis and in the Week 1 division review.
Skittles, my beloved. He's got the Mono Poison team.
We do have the Mono Poison team, and I love that. I love Skittles' pattern of just mono teams in general. They're a lot of fun. I actually, in my second season, had thought about doing that, but I opted not to, because I always thought it would just be fun. And here we have Skittles having fun with mono poison.
I think some mono type teams do really well. I thought, he went, I think 2-5 with his mono water team last season, and it was a really solid performance, genuinely, for a mono type team. He, played it quite handily. Yeah. Poison is just a tough team to use, and this, I think I'm taking this analogy a little bit from Aurora, so I apologize, Aurora, for biting your thing
Copyright.
Here. Have you ever seen the meme where it's like LeBron James and he's like dunking on a bunch of like wheelchair-bound children?
A long time ago, I think.
That is Great Tusk versus the Mono Poison team.
That's
unfortunately,
so true. It just goes so hard. Even Zoroark over there gets Psychic as well, which is really terrifying against everything except like Skuntank.
Yeah, Zoroark can Terra and Psychic, and Duraludon is obviously immune to poison, and so Skittles, I mean, he showed that he had some tricks up his sleeve versus Scoots, and he was playing around his his weaknesses there. I think he's aware of the things that can cause him problems, and I don't think he's just going to roll over and let Nihilus take a free win if he can help it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think really there's not much else to talk about, and we should probably just get right into this.
Yeah, let's have a look.
I love
Goofy. It's Goofy. Oh, look at Goofy. Goofy with his cute little balloon.
Yeah, he floats there. Great Tusk coming in though. There. Manny Ice Age, no, don't do it.
Yep. Nihilus just deciding to, I'll get on my rocks and I'll do my spin and
pop the balloon.
It's go time.
Little surprised we saw more Toxic Spikes. I thought trying to hit Manny would be a little better, but that's just me.
No, I mean, what can Clodsire really do? It might be able to haze, but you can just keep rapid spinning up. I think if anything, he could have just gone for a Toxic there. It seems like, obviously Skittles is aware of Great Tusk coming and being a problem, so he had the game plan to get the Toxic off. I think maybe he could have done with running Protect on a few things, taking a cue out of Vincent's book, and just stalling turns a little more. As it stands, Manny Ice Age is already 4 kills deep.
Yeah. Trying to save the diff. Nihilus switches out at this point. We get a Grass Terra Skuntank, which is actually fairly solid and probably should have come out a little earlier, I personally feel like.
Yeah, it could. I mean, obviously, like, maybe there was a calc where close combat, was a problem off of Great Tusk, or maybe he was scared of a potential Ice Spinner or something.
That's fair.
But I mean, I think forcing Nihilus to play that game earlier rather than later, you've already sacked so many game pieces at this point that it's really hard to win.
Yeah. We do see this not be 6-0 though.
That's true. He got one.
Yeah. Buzzbait coming out, Monkey Dory. Little surprise, Nihilus stayed in there.
Yep, that's actually Zoroark. Woohoo!
Yeah.
You could actually believe that a pulse move coming out of Clawster is a real Clawster, but it's not. It's a work the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And Skittles is a choiced monkey, and he choiced it into Sludge Wave, which is ineffective, we'll say, against Duraludon.
Yeah.
And that's the game wrapped up.
That
4-0
is
for Nyla.
the game. I do like the choice monkey. I think it's fun. I actually did like the Terra Grass Skuntank. And like that's one of the neat things about this season is being able to Terra like lower tier Pokemon or any Pokemon really, other than your S, A's, and B tiers, of course. But there's a lot of utility that you get out of Pokemon that would otherwise you just kind of glance over,
Yeah. So Skittles, again, not rolling over. Went a little bit better as far as not getting super unlucky like he did into the Power Whip miss on Scoots. So wasn't like an immediate powerless 6-0 situation, which is unfortunate for Nihilus because I think Nihilus would have really liked to make up for his week 1 6-0 with a 6-0 of his own. But as it stands, he is now 1-1 at -2.
Yeah. But we got one last match. Who'd we got?
Oh, well, we have Not Pimp of the Cracked Kricketunes versus Snake of the Miami Milotics.
Yeah, you got it. And I see some fun Pokemon already. One, love Electrode. It's just funny. I like it. Altaria, I wanted it, but Cloud9's so good. There's a lot of Sun Abusers in, I think, this division, actually. Yeah, we just had Torkoal. Ninetales is here, too. And we also have a Lowland Ninetales. So Altaria, a solid pickup for this division, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, Altaria is, Cloud9 isn't like that great because it's stuck to the Pokemon that has it. So like if Altaria by itself isn't that good, then Cloud9 isn't that good. Because it's not like it wipes the weather away. It simply temporarily disables it while it's out, which can be good for stalling out Sun turns.
Yep.
But not really too much else. Although I will say, into Not Pimp, like Altaria matches up fairly decently into Slitherwing, and it can shut down its photosynthesis boost. It matches up fairly well into Ninetales.
Yep. And also Terrace.
Yeah, and it can Terra. So I think in this matchup specifically, Altaria looks pretty good.
Yep, I see the funny fish, the thing that we're also terrified of. Also with Tablets of Ruin, just like Ting Lu, but with the minusing of special attack, is it? Or minusing of a regular attack?
Beads of Ruin lowers the special defense of the opponent, which effectively increases Chiyu's special attack even further.
Yep.
And it hits really hard. I mean, when this game came out, people were posting Chiyu memes that would just be these absurd calcs like, Specs Chiyu, Sun boosted, Overheat versus Chansey is like a 2-hit KO or something like that.
Yeah.
It just does obscene amounts of damage in the right scenario.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if Not Pimp sets up the Sun with his Ninetales and your Chiyu is out, go ahead. Multi-skill Dragonite's still going to get, chunked by, a third off that thing,
Yeah.
And that's just, not even including if he throws up, a Dark Pulse instead, so...
Oh, yeah.
Chiyu can be a very centralizing Pokemon. It is kept in check by its pretty modest speed.
Yeah, it does have the 135 base special attack, so again, it just hits like a truck.
Yeah, that thing hits really, really hard.
Yeah.
Electrode, you were mentioning earlier, is really cool. It's amazing speed control. It's really, really fast, and the ability to Terra Ice makes it a pretty reliable Bolt Beamer. It doesn't do that much damage, but, it can pivot around and be quite annoying, and it can also do, fast taunts and explosions. So
yeah, fast explosions, so fun.
Oh, yeah, and Gastrodon is kind of a draft staple.
It really is. I don't think we've gone a season the last 4 seasons without it being drafted.
Water ground types just go every time. I think all 4 of them got drafted this time, right? So Whiscash has been drafted, Swampert, Quagsire, and Gastrodon are all in. So
they've all been drafted, and they're just such good typing. In fact, I use Water Ground Vaporeon. It's not Water Ground, but Terra Ground Vaporeon.
Spiritually.
Yeah, spiritually. It does really well, though. Ground is such a good, solid typing. It does a lot, hits a lot of Pokemon. That's just the thing about Ground,
Yep.
But yeah, the only thing you gotta watch out for is grass moves, grass knots, freeze dries are terrifying. Other than that, though.
Yeah. Well, see, Terra Grass, the thing is, it's funny because back in the day, Hidden Power was a move that Pokemon would use, and so you didn't have to rely on just having grass coverage on your team to hit like Gastrodon, you could just run Hidden Power Grass on whatever old Pokemon and then you could hit it. So that always had to be a worry, right? Hidden Power Ice for ground types and things like that. But then in Gen 8, they got rid of Hidden Power, so then it was like, okay, I guess now we're just, you just get whatever coverage your Pokemon natively has and that's it. And then Gen 9, they gave you Terra, so now you kind of have Hidden Power back as Terra Blast, but it's not as, consistent because you have to use your Terra to get the type coverage. So it's really, I think it's a lot more fair in this meta. I think it's a really interesting dynamic to be like, oh, okay, I can see that you're Terra Grass, so I have to be aware of the fact that you could hit me with the grass coverage that I'm now used to not worrying about. It's just a great typing. It's just a great typing.
It is. It's so good. And with that being said, though, we'll rant. No, it's okay. It's so good. I love these things, but we got a match to watch. We got to see.
Let's watch the match.
How this goes.
Let's do it, huh?
Hey, another Ninetales start. Check for Dragon.
Big overheat. And whoo! Floof got out of there.
Yep, I love that. I love the eject pack. That's such a fun kind of set to run.
I do think the Volt Switch is fairly decent. I'm kind of surprised that it wasn't fake out first, just a scout.
Yeah. Dragon Dance, fairly solid.
As discussed, I mean, this thing came out and shut down the sun.
Yeah.
And now it's gone.
Yep.
And that is really unfortunate. If this thing hadn't gotten parried, it could have been a real menace, but suddenly now its speed is way more put into
that's
check.
hit so hard.
And that's when Life Orb got knocked off. That could have hit even harder.
Yeah, that probably would have killed it, actually. The Life Orb got knocked off.
So, very unfortunate that Chiyu came in and just got immediately worked like that.
Yeah. Boosted Flamethrower in the sun doing over half to a Ninetales.
That's an itemless, unboosted. It's just crazy. Chiyu does so much damage.
Yeah.
I do love the eject pack from earlier. It was really cool.
Yeah, it's such a fun set. There's a lot of little things you can just do with that. Nice defog. Snake doing a good job here, just kind of keeping up.
He is positioning. I mean, like, Notpip is doing really cool, and he's making a lot of good reads, and his team building prep was really nice.
Oh, the crit.
That's also really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Like, getting crit sucks. Getting crit and then living is like, a little better, but then it's like, okay, that was a Pokemon that could recover. That could have come back and been back in the game.
Nice solid Bleak Windstorm right there.
Yep. That's scary.
It is.
It's not a fully accurate move.
No, it's not. Flare Blitz.
God, this Slitherwing is just it's so powerful in the sun.
It really is. This thing also gets Cotton Guard.
It does get Cotton Guard. It wouldn't use it, but it does get it.
Yeah. Hey, you never know. There's a lot of physical attackers on this team.
True. I do like that it's called Check for Slitherwing.
Yeah.
You said it, buddy.
Yeah. Shrink speed really solid. Check for Dragon. Nice fake out.
There's the fake out. So break the multi-scale. Good thing to do.
Sack Chiyu.
Goes in deep for the sack, which I think is pretty smart. Now that this thing is locked into Outrage, you can go Electrode and Terra Ice. No,
you get just Terra Normal Explode.
My bad, I lied. I was talking about a different game there. Whoops.
I love that.
Yep. Fake out for some more chip, but at this point, Slitherwing is going to be faster than this, and it is going to kill you.
Yeah, I don't even think Vileplume came out once, actually.
No, it didn't.
No.
But that was a tight game. Genuinely, I think there was a little bit of luck involved. Like that crit onto Gastrodon was quite unfortunate. I do think that given the right scenario, I guess it's hard to say. I don't know. Maybe keeping it as a sack for later would have been helpful. I
mean, would have been nice. I feel like against Slitherwing for just taking raw fire hits.
Yeah, I guess so. It disincentivizes like flare blitzing more.
Mm-hmm.
But just, I mean, in general, I think Snake was positioning really well. I just think Pimp was just like a little better on all the different marks, right? His positioning was a little better. His team building was a little better. He got the, crucial Thunder Wave into the Chiyu. He got a really good early momentum swing with that overheat eject button.
Yeah.
Or eject back. So I love that. I mean, I think Pimp just showing why he's kind of the boss.
Yeah, I think they both just played really well, and I do love the name Hand Grenade for Electrode, and everything else was just called Check for Weather, Check for Slither, Check, and then Check for Ursaluna, which did not come, by the way, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a rationale for these things. I'm sure that Ursaluna didn't like matching up into something like an air balloon Iron Hands, which is what it was. Stuff like that can definitely affect it.
Yeah, for sure. But with that being said, those are the 4 matches for week 2. We have one final thing to look at, which is the division lineup of all the numbers that people have gathered for this week of fighting. It was really long-winded, but you know what? I got there in the end.
Yeah, we got there. I'll take the top 4, and then you can have the bottom 4.
Absolutely.
Bringing up the front of the Teal division by week 2, we have got Dumblespoods Army, coached by Scoots at a 2-0 and +9 differential. In second place, we have got Not Pimp of the Kracked Kricketunes at 2-0 +4. In third place, we've got Miami Milotics, coached by Snake at a 1-1 +4. And in fourth, we have got ASCII of the Philadelphia Phantumps at a 1-1 and +3.
And that's not the end of the 1-1s, because we have Kenneth of the Washed Up Wishiwashis at a 1-1 at +1, with Nihilus right behind at a 1-1 -2, and Firebolt of the Northern Ninetales at 0-2 -9, and Skittles rounding at the rear at an 0-2 -10.
Yup. So it's a very even spread, right? 2-2,
really
1-1, 1-1, 1-0-0. That's pretty much, short of just having straight 1-1s across the board, that's about as close as you can expect a division to run into week 2.
Yeah.
It's pretty hopeful. Some of the differentials are not great. Specifically, Firebolt is really dying down there, and obviously so is Skittles.
Yeah.
But Nihilus and Cam both, Cam getting 5-0'd, unfortunate, but he's coming out of a 6-0, so it's not so bad. Nihilus came out of a 6-0, which sucks, but he was able to make it mostly back up by week 2.
Yeah.
And, our other 6-0 recipients, Firebolt and Skittles, not quite out of the hole yet, but still working on it.
Yeah, and again, that's one of the things that we were saying earlier last week for this division is, again, just because you're at an 0-6 -6 or 0-1 -6.
Well, if you're 0-6 -6, you're done. Sorry, buddy, you're out.
Yeah. But they had a way, and they still have ways to get out of the bottom half. And even Fireball, it's only week 2. There's still plenty of time to make that up.
Yeah, and again, we noted this earlier, but Firebolt running into some of his hardest matches in the first 2 weeks, you can take his placing right now with a grain of salt. As long as he doesn't let the mentality get down, he can muscle back from that for sure. And I'm impressed by our 2 newcomers, ASCII and Snake, both sitting in playoffs contention right now.
Absolutely.
It's still early, but they're immediately showing that they're no slouch.
There's a lot of promise and a lot of showing from both of those players. I'm very excited to see where they go as we keep going through the season. But I think that'll have to wrap up the Teal Division analysis for this week. A pretty quick video, by the way. We're only 37 minutes into this recording.
Not bad, yeah. I think a lot of Teal's going to end up being that way.
I think that's just what it is there's a lot of decisive moments in the game, or just matches in general, where it's like a domino, basically. One falls, and as soon as that happens, the rest just come crumbling down.
A lot of key game pieces, yeah.
Absolutely.
When they're gone, you just lose,
For sure. Yeah.
Make sure to check out the companion video to this, which is the Violet Division recap. There is nothing else.
Hold on a second. There's 3 divisions this season.
No, I don't think that's
so.
True.
It's Teal, Violet, Crimson,
and
Crimson.
No. There's just the 2.
Red.
I've only got 16 players. It's kind of too bad.
Okay. Well, be sure to check out the other video then over in the Violet division. Actually, don't do that. There's only no other videos.
There's only one division. Teal is the only division this season, and.
Thank you so much.
You can see us here next week. You can see. Who did you do week 3? We actually did that in order. So, whoever you did week 3 with,
Nick.
It'll see you then. Yeah, you'll see Cabral and Nick in the future. Whoa!
Yeah, wow, crazy. Have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.
Later, Tealers.
I love that.